Okay, so if you look at these photos here on the left, you can see that I don't have the best structure for bodybuilding. I have quite narrow clavicles, I don't have the smallest waist, and so that physique, that structure, compared to someone who does have wider clavicles and a naturally smaller waist, would lose in a bodybuilding competition and is seen objectively as a less aesthetic, a less appealing physique. Now, although I have quite a subpar structure and not the best genetics for bodybuilding, I did manage to increase my shoulder to waist ratio, as evidenced by these two photos. Now, of course, has a lot to do with my level of body fat. Of course, I have much more muscle in my frame. But actually, if you were to take these two physiques side by side, you would still see, even in the worst lighting with no pump, a substantial difference between the aesthetics of the one on the left and the one on the right. And I did this mainly through intelligent training, specifically focusing on my delts and my lats. And so in this video, I'm going to go over exactly what exercises I used and how I went about my training to make this transformation. And if you want a program and the exact training approach that I used to achieve my body transformation in total, you can check out the link in the description. You'll find my ebook there and 50 plus videos like these, which go into more detail as to how I optimize my training, my nutrition, my lifestyle to build the best physique I possibly could. So let's go. So the first body part you want to focus on if you want to build a more aesthetic physique and if you want to get rid of your narrow clavicles are the delts. So my first exercise that allowed me to bring up my rear delts is reverse pec decks. Mainly, that's basically all I've used alongside other exercises which I'll come on to. The reverse pec deck is almost entirely your rear delt working throughout the whole range of motion. Of course, you're going to get a little bit of trap involvement because your scapula is going to retract, but as long as you stop at 90 degrees of the motion, it's basically all rear delts that are working in the transverse plane, horizontal extension. So make sure you're doing that exercise on your upper day, on your pull days, on whatever split you're doing. This, in my opinion, is necessary if you want to build big rear delts alongside, your rows and your lat pull downs and stuff. So make sure you're doing this exercise. Now, the shoulder press, the machine shoulder press in particular, machines are going to also allow you to access higher threshold motor units because if you are more stable, central motor command to the target muscle is increased because you aren't trying to balance, you aren't trying to tense your abs or coordinate. And so any machine option, especially when bringing up lagging body parts like your shoulders, is going to be the superior option. Now, machine shoulder press, you can either use the neutral grip, the wide grip. It doesn't really matter. This is entirely the same thing. It's just personal preference. Because of the steep incline, you're not lying down, you're sitting up. It's going to primarily activate your front delt. Of course, you're going to get a little bit of upper chest depending on how steep the incline is, but it's really going to help you build up your front delts, which for a long time I underrated. I thought that through my machine chest presses, I'd have enough front delt development, but it never did come. And it's arguably one of, if not the most important for looking wide, for getting that wider look. So make sure you're definitely doing a shoulder press variation, a machine shoulder press specifically. And then there is a lateral raise variation. Now, you're going to get substantial side delt stimulus from your front pressing because in the frontal plane, your side delts are only a tiny bit less stimulated than your front delts. But, a lot of people won't get big side delts just by doing machine shoulder presses or any shoulder overhead presses. So it's probably a good idea to have a side raise variation. This is just an example of one, a seated dumbbell side raise. I also love a lying cable lateral raise, which is something I do, where you get a bench, you lie down, and then you attach the cable just above your chest height, and you use cuffs, and you basically push your hands out to the wall. That's a really good variation. Another one is a machine lateral raise, where you're sitting down, and every once in a while maybe throw in a single arm machine side raise as well to make sure you're really tapping into those high threshold fibers. People think that it's just your delts and you just need to focus on your delts, but look at this, for example. This was me as like an intermediate. I have pretty developed, arms, shoulders here, maybe not rear delts, but definitely front delts. And look how underdeveloped my lats are and how that makes me look way narrower than I do here, right? Or here. And so There are two exercises that you need to be doing if you want to build big lats, and that is a wide grip pull down and a single arm or both arm narrow grip machine lat row. Wide grip pull downs, you don't want to be leaning back like here, like I'm doing. I'm leaning a bit too far back. You want to maintain upright. You don't need shoulder elevation to come up past 90 degrees, because your lower lats have the most leverage in 90 to 60 degrees of elevation. So you really want to focus on this part of the range of motion, really contracting and squeezing. You don't need to reach all the way up. Your lats don't really have that much leverage above 90 degrees. So make sure you're just going up to here, pulling the weight as hard as you can downwards, down towards the floor, down into your hips, whatever cue helps you. The wide grip will also reduce the level of upper back musculature involvement. When you do like a neutral grip, for example, it's a lot more traps and rhomboids and stuff like that. So you get a better isolation using a wide grip in my experience. If you look at the difference on the bottom left photo and the top left photo, you can see that the lower lats are also extremely responsible for creating that flare and making you look more aesthetic. So I'd say make sure you're throwing in definitely a wide grip pull down at least once a week. And then with the narrow grip machine row, this is again really good leverage for the upper lats, 60 to 75 degrees of shoulder elevation. I love doing single arm here. Again, single arm variations are going to increase levels of motor unit recruitment because you're more stable. Central motor command to your upper lats is going to be greater because there's less muscles working. But here specifically, you want to just hold on to support. Again, as stable as you can make the exercise. The more stable you are, the higher levels of motor unit recruitment you're going to get. And you're going to want to drive this arm back and down into your hip. You're not going to want to pull it past. You're not going to want to twist, because then you're going to involve core. You're going to involve your upper back as well. So just tuck it into your hip, feel the contraction, and then slowly release the weight. And again, alternate between single arm and dual arm. This one's going to bias upper lats. This one's going to bias lower lats. And this is all you need for lats. It's widely, I guess, glamorized that the sagittal plane work stuff is like when you're using a single arm pull down with a neutral grip is much better for lats. That's not true. The data is pretty clear that there's really no difference. And actually, there could be an argument to be made that wide grip variations are better because they take a lot of rear delt out of it, traps out of it, and basically it's all lower lats, middle lats. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I want to talk about quickly, you're going to have to be lean, okay? You're going to have to eat in a calorie deficit. You're going to have to eat clean. You're going to have to do cardio. So I'll just say, after every upper body training session, do like 30 minutes of low intensity steady state cardio on the treadmill, on a bike, get into a 500 calorie deficit. Not only is this going to help you, cut off a bunch of fat at the waist, which is going to help you look V-tapered, but it's also going to take fat off your lats and especially your delts. A lot of people complain about not being able to grow their delts, but a lot of times it's because they're not lean enough. And that really just comes down to one, training intelligently, but also just eating clean and doing your cardio and not just sitting on your desk all day and then getting home and sitting on the couch. You have to walk as much as you train as well. It's not just about lifting. Another thing which is going to give you better core control are vacuums. This is when you suck in your belly, especially when you flex your abs. You're not going to have like a blocky weight. I guess a last piece of advice I would give is, if you want to structure this in your training program, let's say you're doing a 4-day upper lower split, for example, you can do a narrow grip machine row, which targets your upper lats, remember, either single arm or dual arm. And you can do 3 sets, the first set to 2 reps in reserve and the last 2 sets to failure. And then you can do a machine lateral raise. Again, 3 sets, first set to 2 reps in reserve, last 2 sets to failure. That's your lats and your side delt stimulus for the week. And then your other upper day, you can do a machine shoulder press. Again, 3 sets, first set to 2 reps in reserve, last 2 sets to failure. And then you finish off with a wide grip lat pull down, 3 sets, first set 2 reps in reserve, last 2 sets to failure. So that's like a more than enough stimulus to grow the best lats and shoulders you can. You want to bias maybe these 2 body parts, put them first in your workout session. You're not going to be able to access those high threshold motor units as that workout goes on. So make sure you start with your lats and your delt work. Clearly, I don't have good genetics, right? Especially, muscle building wise, but also structurally. And yet I was able to do this with my physique just through intelligent training and getting lean. So hope this has been helpful. If you like this video, found this helpful, please like and sub and comment down below if you have any questions and if you have any video suggestions, any videos you want me to make, let me know. And again, check out the links in the description for coaching, my ebook, and the free video course. I'll see you in the next one.